I found out my kids were in on my wife's affair and helped her hide it. My 2 daughters, both in their 20s, were aware of their mom's cheating and actively covered for her, which hit me hard. This is about a guy, me, a 51-year-old husband and dad, married for a long time, who discovered his wife's infidelity. Not only that, but my daughters, Sheila and Claudia, knew about it and helped keep it a secret, especially one of them. Let me tell you, I was crushed and furious, as anyone would be, but I think I handled it well. I dealt with my now ex-wife and our daughters, particularly the one who somehow thought her actions were okay, which is just wild. Today, I'm sharing this as an example of people who act terribly finally facing the consequences. It's a sad truth, but as a guy, you can't fully trust anyone. You've got to stay vigilant. Last week, while my 50-year-old wife was in the shower, I noticed her phone light up with a notification. Thinking it might be one of our daughters, Sheila, who's 25, or Claudia, who's 27, confirming plans for a girls' dinner, I picked it up to check. Instead, I saw a message from an unsaved number saying they couldn't wait to see her, followed by a kissing emoji. My heart stopped for a moment. I opened the message and found a brief thread about dinner plans for that night, with talk of missing each other, and how meeting once a week wasn't enough. I was stunned, thinking, what is this? 31 years of marriage felt like they were crumbling right there. Hoping to catch her in a lie before she left, I messaged both daughters to ask about the supposed girls' dinner. What happened next shattered me completely. Both girls replied, confirming the dinner and acting excited about it. I couldn't believe it. It's bad enough that my wife, the mother of my kids, was cheating, but my daughters being in on it? That betrayal cut even deeper. I never imagined my own kids would do this to me. I'm not thrilled about what I did next, but I turned on location sharing between my phone and hers and let her leave the house. At that point, I figured all bets were off. She was cheating, and I needed proof. I followed her to the restaurant, hoping I was just being paranoid and that my daughters would be there, ready to greet me. But no, it was just my wife and her boss, a guy I recognized. My heart sank. Part of me wanted to storm in, confront them, and let loose, but I knew I had to stay calm. Instead, I snapped a couple of photos of them holding hands and kissing. I probably should have waited, but I was so angry I couldn't hold back. As soon as I got to my car, I opened our family group chat and sent the pictures to everyone with a message. Looks like a great girls' dinner. At least I didn't barge into the restaurant and start a fight. That would have landed me in jail. After that, I put my phone down, drove to my brother's place, and asked if I could crash there for the night. When I woke up the next morning, my phone was flooded with over 30 texts and 30 voicemails. Honestly, I expected even more. My wife sent a string of predictable excuses, straight out of the cheater's handbook. I didn't even bother listening to her voicemails. I was ready to fire back a message saying I was filing for divorce and suggesting she get a lawyer, but my brother stopped me. He advised me to meet with several lawyers first to make sure she couldn't hire them. Apparently, if you do a consultation with a lawyer, some offer them for free, they can't represent your spouse later because of a conflict of interest. That's what I've heard, anyway. It's a smart move to meet with the top lawyers in town before your spouse can, so they're legally blocked from representing her. From what I understand, if you have a consultation with a lawyer, they can't take on your wife's case due to a conflict of interest. Instead of engaging with the flood of messages, I sent a brief note to the family group chat. I'm okay physically, but I need some space. I'll come home when I'm ready. Then I silenced my phone to avoid the chaos. That morning, I reached out to the best divorce attorneys I could find and lined up meetings throughout the day. I visited each one, sharing my story, and chose the lawyer who seemed ready to fight tooth and nail for me. It was an exhausting but productive day, making sure I had the right person in my corner. After all the lawyer meetings, I finally checked my phone and saw messages from both daughters. They were full of apologies, but it felt like they were only sorry because they got caught. My younger daughter, Sheila, who's always been my little girl, was a mess, sending me nearly 65 texts. She kept saying she regretted lying and felt awful every time she did it. But honestly, it felt too late for that. I couldn't help but wonder where I went wrong as a dad. I've always tried to be there for them, and this betrayal stung. Even Sheila's boyfriend messaged me, asking me to talk to her because she was on the verge of a panic attack. He seemed like a decent guy looking out for her, but it was clear she hadn't told him the full story, probably because she knew how bad it would make her look. I wrote back to Sheila, I love you, but what you did hurt me deeply. I need you to give me some time. She responded almost instantly, apologizing again, saying she'd never forgive herself and that she loved me. But it all felt hollow now that the truth was out. Claudia, my older daughter, was a different story. We've always been close, but she's always been her mom's biggest fan. Her apology was half-hearted. She said she was sorry, but then had the nerve to suggest I shouldn't throw away a good marriage over one mistake. That set me off. A mistake? This wasn't a one-time slip-up. It was a deliberate betrayal by my entire family. I could see so much of her mother in her attitude, acting like this was no big deal. I fired back a message. Claudia, this isn't a mistake. It's a betrayal by everyone I trusted. Don't contact me until I reach out first. She didn't reply, but I'm sure she ran to her mom, because soon after, my wife started texting, telling me not to take this out on Claudia. I didn't bother responding. From now on, I'm only dealing with my wife through lawyers. There's no reason to talk directly when she's shown me who she really is. This all went down 6 days ago, and I'm still at my brother's house, trying to process everything. My emotions are all over the place. I wake up crying every morning and spend most of the day swinging between crushing sadness and burning anger. It's tough enough to lose my wife after all these years, but how do I even face my daughters again? How do I begin to forgive them, especially Claudia, who's acting like I'm the one overreacting? She's supposed to get married this fall, and I've been footing the bill for almost everything. Now, I'm not even sure I'll go. I'm completely broken, unsure of how to move forward or what my life looks like now. Fast forward a year, and I can't believe it's been that long since I first shared this story. Some days, it feels like the pain is still fresh, like it just happened yesterday. Other days, it's like a distant memory, like my life before this betrayal never existed. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are still navigating the divorce process, which is dragging on. I'm glad we're not trying to work things out after everything she did. There's no going back from this kind of hurt. There's no way to undo the damage from this betrayal. The court required us to go through a 6-month legal separation before we could even start the divorce process. After about 10 days at my brother's place, I moved back into our house to make sure it was still legally considered my home. A week later, I served my wife with the separation papers to solidify that. The terms we agreed on were brutal. With only 1 year left on our mortgage, whoever stayed in the house had to cover the full payment for that year. Can you believe it? Just 1 year to go, and we're stuck in this mess. My wife, who chose to be a stay-at-home mom 25 years ago until Sheila started preschool, a decision I wasn't thrilled about, used that to her advantage. The court let her stay in the house, but we had to split the mortgage payments. So she gets to live in our home, while I'm stuck footing half the bill. I ended up moving into a cramped 1-bedroom apartment, where I'm writing this now. Honestly, as heartbroken and betrayed as I feel, this little apartment has given me a kind of peace and quiet I haven't had in years. Sheila, my younger daughter, and I started to patch things up pretty quickly. She showed up at the house and refused to leave until I talked to her. She wasn't dramatic about it, just stubborn, sitting there day after day. This went on for a couple of weeks. Her boyfriend wasn't thrilled, stopping by and clearly uncomfortable with the tension, but Sheila didn't care. She'd say, right in front of me and my soon-to-be ex-wife, Carolyn, that she wasn't going back to her apartment until we were speaking again. At the time, it drove me nuts. Carolyn and I were already clashing over the legal separation, and having Sheila there made everything more strained. Eventually, I let out all my frustration on her. During that heated moment, Sheila opened up about how she found out about the affair. Apparently, 3 weeks before I discovered the truth, during an actual girls' dinner, Carolyn got drunk and let it slip. Claudia tried to stop her, but it was too late. Both Carolyn and Claudia begged Sheila to stay quiet, claiming Carolyn would come clean to me soon. So it seems Carolyn and Claudia had been in on this for a while, scheming together, and Sheila only knew for those 3 weeks. I'm not saying it excuses her, but it sounds like she was pressured by her mom and sister, being the youngest and all. Sheila was in tears as she explained this, saying she now realizes her mom never planned to tell me the truth. She said Carolyn probably claimed she'd confessed to me to keep Sheila quiet. The girls' dinner lie was the first time Sheila had ever deceived me about the affair, and she believed her mom was going to end things with her affair partner that night and come clean. I'm not sure if Sheila's telling the whole truth. Part of me wonders if she's covering for herself, but I want to believe her. We were both crying by the end of it. Carolyn walked in, trying to defend herself, and I lost it. I yelled louder than I ever have, letting out all my pent-up rage. Sheila actually had to step in to calm me down. It wasn't just that Carolyn manipulated me. She used at least one of our daughters to pull it off. That was unforgivable. To get Sheila and myself out of that toxic house, I agreed to split the mortgage. Sheila moved back in with her boyfriend that night, and I found this apartment. She even helped me decorate it, which was a small gesture toward rebuilding our bond. Sheila's still got a long way to go to earn back my trust. She's on thin ice, but if her story checks out, about only knowing for 3 weeks and being misled by her mom, I might be able to forgive her eventually. Claudia, on the other hand, and I aren't speaking at all, and I'm fine with that. She's shown her true colors. After everything blew up, her fiancé came to me, confused and wanting answers. Claudia's fiancé was a grown man who deserved to know the truth, and I didn't tell him anything inappropriate. After that conversation, Claudia showed up at my apartment, crying and blaming me for ruining her engagement. She blocked me afterward, and we haven't spoken since. I managed to recover some of the money I'd paid to wedding vendors I'd dealt with directly, but I'm pretty sure Claudia pocketed some of it for herself. I still don't know how long she was aware of her mom's affair, and her complete lack of remorse makes me think we'll never have a relationship again. It's easy to write her off as a terrible person, and I do feel that way. But this is my daughter. I always thought we were close, even if she was more attached to her mom. The fact that my own child could betray me like this breaks my heart in a way I can't describe. Still, I'm glad her fiancé ended things with her. She doesn't deserve a wedding after what she did. Now Claudia and my soon-to-be ex-wife, Carolyn, are living together in the house. It's like they've formed their own little alliance. Carolyn's openly dating her boss now, the same guy she cheated with. He switched to a different firm after I caught them, probably worried about losing his job if the affair came out. I'm embarrassed to admit I feel a pang of jealousy, not because I want Carolyn back or envy their relationship, which I'm sure will crash and burn, but because I'm lonely. Sheila's been pushing me to get out there, and even helped me set up a dating profile, which feels so awkward at my age. She teased me, calling me a weirdo, when my first match was a 35-year-old single mom. I've got a date with her next week, but Sheila's encouragement aside, I'm not sure I'm ready to jump back into dating. Honestly, I think I'd be better off focusing on myself, working out, improving my life, rather than rushing into something new just to fill the void. This whole mess feels like it's reached an abrupt end, but I'm glad I cut ties with Carolyn and distanced myself from Claudia. I have no regrets about walking away from my wife, and as for Claudia, I'd only consider talking to her again if she came to me with genuine remorse, which I doubt she's capable of. Her life's probably a mess now, but I'm not falling for fake apologies. Sheila's situation is different. If her story about only knowing for 2 weeks and being pressured by her mom holds up, I can understand the tough spot she was in. Still, she's on thin ice with me for a long time. She's got to prove she's trustworthy. I'm certain Carolyn will come crawling back when things fall apart with her boss. She's 51 now, and unless she's aging like a supermodel, she's not exactly a catch. I hope I'm strong enough to tell her to get lost after 29 years of marriage. No way am I taking her back. Some folks online had thoughts about this. One person pointed out that Claudia is just like her mom, covering up the cheating with no remorse. They said her fiancé was smart to dump her, figuring if she'd hide her mom's affair, she'd probably cheat on him too. They suggested I focus on living my best life, saying that'll drive Carolyn crazy with jealousy and make her ruin her own relationship. I agree she'd be jealous if I moved on, but that's not my goal. After 29 years of marriage, I need time to myself. I should be hanging out with friends, spending time with family who actually care, maybe even getting a pet, though a couple of dogs might be too much for this small apartment. The point is, I need to rebuild my life, maybe hit the gym or try a new hobby, not rush into dating, especially not with a 35-year-old single mom. That could bring a whole new set of complications. Another commenter said my daughters might be acting defensive out of embarrassment for getting caught. They suggested I focus on myself and not waste energy on them, letting them deal with my indifference to their manipulative tactics. They pictured Claudia dramatically clutching her pearls, fainting, while I just step over her and keep moving forward. I like that image. It's exactly the kind of detachment I need. Someone else thought Sheila seems genuinely sorry and didn't realize how serious her actions were at the time. They said it's great she's trying to make things right, and I mostly believe her, but she's still on serious probation in my book. As for Claudia, they figured her fiancé confronted her about the cheating, and when she brushed it off or defended her mom, he realized she'd do the same to him and bolted. They said Claudia's lack of accountability and blaming me just digs her deeper into her own mess. She needs to grow up and take responsibility, maybe in her 30s, but I'm not holding my breath. If she's still young and attractive, she might find someone else to fool, but I doubt her life will go smoothly. This whole situation is a gut punch, and in my opinion, the betrayal from my daughters hurts more than Carolyn's cheating. You expect a spouse might let you down, cheating happens, as awful as it is, but your own kids? I raised them, loved them, and thought I was a good dad. To have them, especially Claudia, turn on me like this is a pain I can't shake. Sheila's got a long road to rebuild trust, maybe a decade of proving herself. Claudia? I'm done with her unless she shows real change, which I doubt she will. I'm wishing myself the best as I figure out what's next. If you've got thoughts on this mess, drop them below.